welcome to Smart Recovery Empowerment Talks. I'm Jasmine with Smart Recovery, and here at Smart, we are all about self-empowerment and finding the power within ourselves to make change in our lives. To highlight this, we are having empowerment talks each month with members of our large and growing community. Since March is Women's History Month, we're going to celebrate awesome women in recovery. We will spend time talking to these amazing women from all walks of life who are connected to Smart Recovery in different ways. I hope their stories of resilience and strength serve as inspiration to those that need it. And I think if you listen closely, you'll hear something you can relate to. Today, I'm happy to have Amanda join me. Thank you, Amanda, for joining me today. Please tell me a bit about your recovery journey and how you first found Smart.
Sure. Thanks, Jazz, and thanks for having me on. And really happy to be here and be connected with Smart Recovery as an organization. So yeah, a little about my recovery journey. I've been in active recovery, working recovery programs for almost 15 years. And I originally got into recovery through community 12-step meetings, like a lot of people do. Really didn't know anything about Smart Recovery at the time. I don't think I had even heard about it when I first got into recovery, but the 12-step programs did work really well for me. And I decided to just continue my recovery journey by pursuing education in addiction counseling and became a professional addiction counselor. And it wasn't until then, I want to say almost 10 years into my personal recovery, as well as working as a recovery professional, that I really finally connected with and started to dig into Smart. And basically just did that through researching, looking online on just Google searching what are new, novel, science-based tools that I could use and bring to support my clients in recovery. And when I came across Smart Recovery, I was just like, oh, wow, okay, this is clearly a whole thing I've been missing. And so I just started, kind of gently or softly, like showing the videos with the tools in some of my groups. And I knew it was going to be something that I got more into and worked for me, because my clients all just instantly had such a positive response to the tools right away. It was just, I didn't have to sell them on anything or be like, hey, there's this cool Smart stuff over here, why don't you check it out? It was more like, once I shared it, people were like, oh, I want to know more about that. So ever since then, I'd say the last like 4 years, I've just slowly but surely gotten more into the program and learning more about it, and being involved with the organization. So that's a little bit about how I got here.
Oh, that sounds awesome. And especially like how organically it happened, like in the meetings, and it just resonated with those that you were sharing that with. So with Smart Recovery, we're all about self-empowerment. So I want to ask, like, what does self-empowerment mean to you?
Good question. Self, right? We start with self, just like in Smart, the S, I always tell people, Smart doesn't stand for like not dumb, we're not out there trying to be like, oh, we're the smartest, it's actually an acronym. And the S is self-management. And so, same things with self-empowerment, self-management. It starts with me. It starts with me and how I feel about myself and what kind of attention I want to bring to myself, what kind of awareness I want to try to have and grow in myself. So I just think for myself and my own recovery journey, it's like all of us as humans, it's real up and down. We're riding waves, we're on the roller coaster, and sometimes we're holding on for dear life. And I just think that as a whole, I always want to try to turn my attention, my direction right here.
Mhm.
Turn it right back at me, not in a selfish way, but just knowing and understanding that, back to the points in SMART, it's my thoughts that ultimately create my behaviors and my responses to the world and what's happening to me. And so it's just empowering for me to take ownership, of what's going on with me. So I think that's how I describe self-empowerment. Ultimately it's just feeling good too,
Right.
feeling good and getting the benefits from working recovery.
I like that. I like that, taking ownership of you and your thoughts and how they relate to the world around us. I think that is such a wonderful perspective. So, what is something that you know now that you wish you would have knew before you started your recovery journey? So you said it was like about 15 years ago. So like would you have told yourself 15 years ago about this journey that you're going to go on?
Oh my gosh. It's
I
so
know.
hard to look back. It's been quite a journey. And in a way I almost want to say like nothing, because it's like things happen how they need to happen.
Mhm.
And in a way, like how I mentioned, I didn't even know about SMART, even though
Mhm.
it definitely existed. And I could have been using these tools, earlier, but I can't say, I can't look back and say like I should have known about it earlier, or I could have, should have, would have. We don't like to shit on ourselves in
Yes,
SMART. uh
we don't.
let's avoid shitting and coulding. So I know that things worked out for me really well, and it may be that because I had a limited perspective about what resources to
Mhm.
utilize, or what I did utilize, it helped me focus.
Yeah.
So I guess just, if anything, looking back to myself starting out, I just want to pat myself on the back and, kind of be a little cheerleader, like
Mhm.
I sometimes am with my clients now, is
Mhm.
is just saying persevere. It's gonna work out. It is gonna work out. It's not gonna be easy, but if you keep at it, and really make a commitment, a self-commitment, to this path of life change, it's going to serve you the rest of your life. Um, and so I'm glad that, even though I didn't have my older self telling me that, obviously I had peers and mentors that were saying those kinds of things, and tried to just trust the process.
Wow, that's a lot of trust right there. And I really love the word that stood out to me was perseverance. Like, yes. And I think that's empowering, right? Just to have that perseverance to get through all that windy, messy, hard stuff and that
Mhm.
journey and the good times too, and not take it for granted is
Yeah.
truly amazing. So perseverance, I like that.
Thanks. Yeah. And I'll just add to, for me, I consider myself always in recovery,
Mhm.
ongoing. I'm never recovered. I'm never done,
Mhm.
yes, I successfully addressed my primary behavioral addictions and problems. But, as soon as I did, the next one popped up.
Mhm.
And then I had to work on that one. And now here I am 15 years down the road, and the work is not done.
Mhm.
There's always something there, if I'm looking, if I'm checking, if I'm maintaining that self-awareness, then there's always going to be something to work on. So I think that's part of the perseverance too, and the
Yeah.
commitment that I certainly would want to encourage anybody to make in their journey, is just knowing, yeah, it's never going to be over, but not in a bad way.
Right.
This is just like great that we get to keep improving. We get to keep learning new things and applying new tools in new ways, and just more and more refining ourselves and who we are and how we respond to other people in the world.
I love that. I always learn something even more, like another layer, something in depth every time I have a conversation with you. I just absolutely enjoy it so much. Um, so talking about like that perseverance and not, really wanting to kind of give yourself advice to just, trust the process and that journey. Were there any barriers that got in your way in recovery, that were just like almost kind of knocked you off that path? And what did you do to overcome them?
That's a great question. In a way, I feel very uh, grateful that I made a pretty impulsive, I would say in retrospect, impulsive, addict mind kind of choice to go into addiction counseling professionally. I think it was kind of just a natural evolution in a way that I got what I needed or wanted most out of some community supports at the time. And I just knew I needed to kind of keep going and do more. But I know that that was not easy. That was not an easy process in a way, and it still isn't to this day, having what is sort of a dual role in being a person in long-term recovery and active recovery, and also being a professional in this field. It's a little challenging to wear dual hats or decide which hat I'm going to have on at any given moment when I'm interacting with other people.
Mhm.
And so I can say that's been a challenge. It's also certainly been a support for me, of course, because once I decided, okay, I'm going to be an addiction counselor, well, I kind of had to keep my act together,
Right.
from that point. It's like, there's a line that I had to keep walking, so that did help. But it's just something I bring up because even today, I just so appreciate Smart Recovery as a peer organization.
Mhm.
It's a peer support. And there's also that other hand where we have some facilitators, right, in our meetings who maybe they themselves have not experienced a substance use disorder or a major behavioral addiction that they're trying to overcome. We do have facilitators that come as family
Right.
members of people that they're looking to support, or just from the community, right, that want to try to provide a supportive service to their community. So I just think that's really cool on the one hand, that it's Smart is so welcoming,
Mhm.
to anyone. I mean, literally, look at
Right.
it. Like who in this world wouldn't fit in somewhere at
Right.
some layer or level of Smart Recovery? And there's
Mhm.
no one. So I just love how inclusive it is. And also, again, just say, yeah, for someone like myself, sometimes that's just a challenge, that is always there with me of, um, I'm just like everybody else,
Mhm.
of being in recovery. And at the same time, I do have obligations as a professional, and, want to share experiences from all those different levels.
Thank you. So I do facilitate meetings as well. And one thing, and being in active recovery, like I was hearing you say, like, that dual hat, like I am running these meetings and servicing, trying to help this population, but I too also am in active recovery. And like I said, it's a journey. Like it's not something that I'm healed, I'm done, and it's no longer a problem. Triggers still come up, feelings still come up, situations still happen. So I know for myself, I've had some meetings where there's been some really heavy topics, and I'm like, I have to, when I leave, I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about a drink in years, but man, this really, I don't know why this affected me. So just
Yeah.
like, is there anything in the time of your like line of work that would be helpful to facilitators to just kind of like, how can we check in with ourselves and make sure that we to kind of help us set up like
Mm-hmm.
some bumpers while we're also too in active recovery, and but also trying to do this work to shine a light for others on
Yeah.
this path.
Absolutely. It's really straightforward, which is just use the tools, you know, go to a meeting. That's what I do. Yes, I facilitate meetings, but I also just attend meetings as a participant. And it's awesome to have a not just United States wide, but actually international a wide recovery community that we can access online through Zoom, like you and I are doing right now. And if I'm super dysregulated or just really having that bad of a day or bad of a challenge, I don't even have to talk, right? I don't. That's part of the basis of our meetings, is that you really don't have to participate just by showing up. That's a form of participation. So if I want to just kind of hang back and listen to others and watch some other people, use a tool and get a good outcome from that, and that's going to help me feel better in that moment. But I also know there's meetings I can go to, and if I'm really trying to get over the hump, I can go and check in and I can share and say, like, what's up, you guys? I'm having a rough one today. But aside from that, it's just like I'm about to pull up and my handbook here because it's always there. The handy dandy handbook is truly it's like, just pick one. That's I can just flip through and pick and go, oh my gosh, unconditional self-acceptance. Well, darn it, that's what I'm not doing right now. Okay,
Right.
thanks. And it helps.
That's awesome. That's really great advice. And just for our viewers, I do want to let everyone know that we do have our SMM meetings for our smart facilitators that they are able to attend and get additional, check-in, help. You have questions, talk, just another way to meet with our community. And that can be found on our Volunteer HQ website at smartrecovery.org. So from there, I would like to ask, what do you think gets in the way of women feeling empowered?
Oh my goodness, Jazz.
I know that's a
come
loaded
on.
question. Do we have time, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'll try to be so brief, but just say, yeah, there's too many things to name. Honestly, there's so many challenges and barriers to women. Literally, any which way we look or feel or act, or anywhere in this world, there's a challenge, and it's structural, right? It's built into systems all around us, and it's historical. And we've already coming from histories more prone to trauma. We're already coming from, being overworked and underpaid, and having responsibilities of family plus work, and then let's go to education and our communities, and we got a lot going on as women. So I think that's why we got to stick together too, and support one another and help each other self-advocate. Remind each other, back to that question you asked me earlier about self-empowerment. Remind each other sometimes, like, hey, you got this. It's in you. You have everything you need. You've got the tools you need. You've got your lived experience. It's all there for you, and utilize that. Utilize all your personal resources, as well as your other female supports that are going to be there when you need them.
I love that. And I think we don't remind each other enough, like, that you can do it and have that supportive. I know sometimes even myself, I get into like a competitive, we feel like we have to compete or be better. And that, I feel like, just kind of tears things down and breaks relationships between other women. So just definitely remembering that, it's not a competition.
Right.
And, we're all, there's plenty of room at the table for everyone. So
Absolutely.
add more chairs instead of, lopping off the
Yeah.
table. Um,
Let's share. Let's share the resources.
yeah, absolutely. And there's plenty to go around. There really is. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I love that. Just reminding each other, like, yes, you can do that. So I've had a great time with you today, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to meet with me for our empowerment talks. Do you have any final words of wisdom to share with the community?
Oh my goodness. I don't want to be wise yet. I'm still getting there. I'd rather be humble than wise, honestly. But maybe to anybody that is new to SMART, I would just want to encourage you to what I said to my younger self, right? Keep at it,
Mhm.
stick with it, recognize that things are going to change. Things are going to change for you, maybe day to day, even it could be year to year or by decades, that different resources that are available to you in life, both through this program as well as through just all the countless other recovery resources that exist in the world now. They're there for you, and it's okay, if things change. And maybe for a while you're really into the handbook, and you're really just like over there doing your sheets and reevaluating your hierarchy of values like once a month because you're
Mhm.
trying to figure out like, well, what is important to me right now, and it's okay if that's where you're at right now. And then you never know, a year from now you might be facilitating a meeting, or you might be on the receiving end and needing to switch over to a friends and family meeting, right? Because now there's somebody in your life that has a behavior issue that needs addressing, and you're wrapped into it. So just knowing and accepting that things change, right? Things always change, and we just want to ride the waves and be there for ourselves and others in that process. And so I'm very grateful to you also, Jazz, for inviting me on today, and love Smart Recovery. Can't wait to see you all soon at the conference.
Yes.
And thanks for having me on today.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you all for tuning in and watching our first talk of our empowerment series. And just remember, perseverance is the word of the day. Have a good one.